Well, this promises to be a really interesting session for me, certainly, and I'm sure for you. And we've got a panel of experts. We've got Massimo, who, as you know, knows all about everything. And then we've got some Japanese people who are very much involved. It includes people who have been deprogrammed, and it includes lawyers, practitioners, and second-generation members. So I'm really looking forward to learning a lot. Massimo.
Yeah, thank you. My paper is an outline of things many of you probably already know, and this for those who don't know. I guess all know that former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was killed on July 8, 2022 in Nara, Japan, by a man called Tetsuya Yamagami. And Yamagami told the police he wanted to punish Abe for being friendly to the Unification Church, as you know now called the Family Federation for War, Peace and Unification. And in particular, Abe had participated through a video to a 2021 event and sent a message to a 2022 event of the Universal Peace Federation, which is an NGO founded by the leaders of the Unification Church, and also Unification Church volunteers had worked in Abe's electoral campaign. And Yamagami explained why he hated the Unification Church, because his mother had joined it in 1998, she's still a member, and had gone bankrupt in 2002, allegedly because of her excessive donations to the Unification Church. But a question nobody asked is about the time gap. The mother goes bankrupt in 2002, and he kills Abe in 2022. That's after 20 years, and in the month before the crime, what happened is that Yamagami, the killer, became an active participant in anti-cult online forum, which might have excited him to action. And Canadian scholar called Adam Lyons, he reconstructed his interaction with anti-cultists on the internet, and he mailed to a leading Japanese anti-cultist what Lyons called a manifesto, explaining that he was going to kill Abe and possibly Mrs. Moon too, but unfortunately this anti-cultist, who is a good citizen, immediately went to the police. But when he went to the police, Abe had already been killed, so it was too late. So the church was clearly a victim. As I said, Yamagami also wanted to kill Mrs. Moon, but the anti-cultists managed to present the Unification Church as the culprit in the incident. In a press conference, Japanese anti-cultists say Yamagami and his mother are 100% victims. By the way, that's another case. The mother denies being a victim. And the Unification Church cult is 100% the perpetrator. And as usual, it started a parade of apostate ex-members, and apostate, as you know, is not an insult. It designates those ex-members who become militant opposers of the groups they have left, and they are a minority. And this girl you see here, pseudonym Sayuri Ogawa, became extremely famous, even met the Prime Minister. She's a second generation member, and she claimed she had been brainwashed and submitted to horrible indignities, particularly by her mother. But unfortunately for her, but that didn't get a lot of coverage in mainline Japanese media, this other lady, Masumi Fukuda, she's an award-winning journalist. She also has a degree in sociology. I interviewed her. She's not religious, and she was mildly against the Unification Church before the Abe assassination. But she looked into the story of Sayuri Ogawa and collected dozens of documents and published an article in Japanese leading magazine proving the story cannot be true. So here you see Sayuri Ogawa, but it's not good English on her Twitter. She wants the Abu Pikar law, or presumably law, made in Japan. So she wants to import the Japanese law into Japan, and this poster is just part of a large campaign which started with submitting questions to the Family Federation, which in Japanese law is preliminary to seeking a dissolution order. Now the dissolution order, or as Emily said, the nuclear option, has been activated in the Tokyo District Court, which will rule in 1 year or so. And while they were at it, the anti-cultists persuaded the government to pass two controversial regulations, one on limiting donations to controversial organizations and one on the education of children. And as we published recently in Bitter Winter, the Jehovah's Witnesses, through something similar to the Freedom of Information Act, obtained documents from Japanese government proving that the regulation on children has actually been drafted by the anti-cultists, and then the government just passed it, but it's a pure product of private anti-cultists. And presumably the donation rules are similar. Now, the donation measures explicitly target spiritual sales. Spiritual sales is an expression coined in 1987 by anti-cultists, accusing the Unification Church of selling good luck items such as pagodas, you see here, for exorbitant prices. Now, pagodas, let alone Buddhas, are not part of the Unification Church theology, and this enterprise really existed, but it was enterprise by individual members of the Unification Church, not owned by the church itself. And they perhaps did make too much money, and on the money they made donations to their church, which happened to be the Unification Church. But a very important point is the Japanese law was changed. The Unification Church from Korea said that thing should be stopped, and in 2009 the Unification Church in Japan issued a declaration of compliance with new law. And as you will probably hear from the lawyers in this panel, after 2009 there were only a handful of cases of so-called spiritual sales. So by the time of the assassination of Abe, the problem of spiritual sales has been solved. Now, the second problem the government quoted was something they call religious abuse of children. And the regulations are so broad and vague, they've been criticized by the Financial Times and other mainline media. We have no time to go through the regulation on children, but there are some provisions that do not target the Unification Church, they target the Jehovah's Witnesses. For instance, they say it's evidence of abuse, not celebrating birthdays. That's nothing to do with the Unification Church, but it has a lot to do with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, in the Japanese controversy, there is also an important political element. Masumi Fukuda, the journalist I mentioned, she got a taste about this controversy and went to dig a document on the origins of the Japanese anti-cult movement. And she proved with documents that the main Japanese anti-cult organization was founded at a meeting in the offices of the Socialist Party, with participation also of prominent members of the Communist Party. And why they took an interest in cults? Well, because the volunteers of the Unification Church working in elections and supporting the Abe faction in the Liberal Democrat Party really changed the outcome of some local elections, particularly in Kyoto, because they bussed hundreds of volunteers in the last days before the election. That really changed the outcome. And that, of course, didn't please the parties that lost. And they say, well, they went to France, actually, that's also an interesting part of the story, to learn about how to organize anti-cult associations. Say, let's organize a small, nice anti-cult association and get rid of conservative religion, which mostly meant the Unification Church, but then they say there are other conservative groups, the Jehovah's Witnesses and others. So that's the image of a lady who is actually at this table, Moriko Hori. So you see the original and the picture. And this image illustrates that there was, not surprisingly, a surge in hate crimes and discrimination, both against the Unification Church and organizations which were founded by Reverend and Mrs. Moon, such as the Universal Peace Federation or the Women Federation for War Peace. It is true that these organizations have UC leaders, but most of the members are not UC. And of course, Peter Winter has republished documentation. There are also a surge in hate incidents and even physical violence against Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's it. And I'm not optimistic about the outcome in Japan, where courts of law have a more than 90% record of siding with the government. So I believe the way to go is to internationalize the issue and bring it to international fora. And what we do today is just a contribution to it.
Thank you, Massimo.